This is all the gear that I'm bringing for my 2024 hike of the Pacific Crest Trail through the California desert going into the Sierra Mountains. Because the trail winds through so many different environments and gets extremely remote, there's a lot of things to consider for your gear choices. You need extra room for a bear canister in the Sierra Mountains, sun protection in the desert, and maybe even some mountaineering gear that I'll go over at the end of the video. Let's go over the big items first. This is my brand new backpack. It's the Atom Pack's Atom Plus. There were several challenges on the PCT that I didn't think my backpack would be good for. For instance, there's certain sections in the desert where you have to carry 4 to 6 liters of water. That's an additional 10 to 15 pounds of water. My other backpack has a comfort rating of 20 pounds, so that would have been miserable for me. This one is rated for 30 pounds, which is so much nicer. It has a really wide hip belt so that none of the weight is concentrated on my hips. And it also has a carbon rod that goes down my back. That helps transfer the weight from inside the backpack to my hips. Another challenge the PCT presents is that you have to carry a bear canister through the Sierra Mountains. Carrying a bear canister with my last backpack would have been a challenge. It's 37 liters, while this one is 47 liters in the main compartment and 5 additional liters on the pockets. What's also not included in this volume is this side pocket. Oh, yep. It's been so long since I've had a backpack with one of these pockets. These side pockets are also detachable. I had another idea that I'm really excited to try out. I'm gonna put cord through both of these loops and use this as a fanny pack so that when I get into town, I can put my wallet, my phone, and leave my backpack in a hotel or wherever I am. All right, let's move on to the tent. This is the Z-Packs Duplex, and it's a 2-person tent and it only weighs 1 pound. You may already know about it. It's kind of like the gold standard on the Pacific Crest Trail, but that may be changing with the Durston X-Mid Pro. That's the tent I really wanted, but a friend was selling this tent and I could not pass up the opportunity to buy this. I think it's great to always buy used gear when you have the opportunity. Alright, now onto the sleep system. Starting off with my sleeping bag. This is the UGQ Bandit. It's 20 degrees, which is perfect for the Pacific Crest Trail, and it's 850 down. For those that don't know, backpackers that want to decrease their weight will usually go for a quilt over a sleeping bag. That's because any of the down that your back is compressing when you lay down is basically worthless. So a quilt removes all of that down you sleep on and you have a hole on your back. Your back will go directly on your sleeping pad and it's really not that bad. I think you really need to wear like pajamas or just continue to wear your hiking clothes when you're sleeping. The skin feel feels terrible on this thing. It's just so plasticky. Then my sleeping pad. This is the Thermarest NeoAir X-Lite. This is the golden standard again on the Pacific Crest Trail. So I will admit I went a little extreme with my sleeping pad. I went for the torso size. That means that my head is on the sleeping pad all the way down to my butt. My legs are over nothing. The way I get around that is that I fill my backpack with any items that I am not using that night, shove that under my knees, and then that's how I sleep. I've been doing that for about 2 years now and I have no complaints. This thing is so noisy. A tip I found to make it less noisy is that if you kind of inflate your sleeping pad, it really stops making any of the noises. So I do bring a pillow. This is the Outdoor Vitals Ultralight pillow, and I got this free off of Instagram. Instagram tends to do a ton of these ads where companies will say like, hey, if you reach out to us, you got a free pillow. And I think they anticipate you buy other things with that, but I'm not gonna fall for that. I know better. And then we have the newest addition to my sleep system, which is the Gossamer Gear Thin Light. This thing is so thin, it's nothing. It's not for comfort. The purpose is to protect my air mattress from any punctures. I can also use this as a sitting pad or a yoga mat. I've also taken naps on it throughout the day. It's just really nice to be able to pull this from the top of my backpack and use it like you would a sit pad. So yeah, this is great together along with my sleeping quilt. I really have no complaints. All right, let's move on to how do I drink water on the trail and how do I store my food? At least once a day, or about every 20 miles at max, I'll come across a water source, which I'll use this water filter to get my water into a water bottle and in a form that will not make me sick. This is the Catadion B Free, and it's 1 liter capacity. So I'll just fill this up with stream water and then squeeze into my water bottle. And for my food, I put it in an odor-proof sack. It's nice being able to see where your food is. The zipper on these odor-proof sacks or ob sacks always break. Like this one is also broken. So I think I might switch over to like a turkey basting bag. I've heard those are really good, really reliable. So for food, I will fill up in a town, get about 5 to 6 days worth of food, and then I'll head out. And then 100 miles later, I will make it to the next town. And again, do 5-6 days worth of food and head out again. So that's kind of like the process of me getting my water and food on trail. It's pretty simple. These 6 layers are my clothing layers. These 6 items will allow me to go through rain, for cold weather, and it'll also keep me safe at night. So I have my base layers here. This is my tops and my bottoms, and I basically wear these as PJs. These will wake away sweat when I'm sleeping at night and make it so that the sweat does not make me super cold at night. Next we have my puffy jacket. This is the Enlightened Equipment Torrid, and I really like that it's made of a sheet of foam basically. Because it's made of foam, it doesn't have any baffles like a normal down jacket. If the jacket is designed well, a baffling system can be really great, but most jackets are made with shortcuts, so they're sewn through and you get a lot of heat loss through the seams. Because this is just an entire sheet of foam, you don't have that problem. And it doesn't get affected by water because it's made of foam. And then we have kind of my wind and rain layers. This is my new rain jacket, the Ultralight Gear rain jacket. What's cool about this jacket is that they didn't try and be breathable. A lot of these breathable rain jackets will wet out after a certain point in time. Even the most expensive Gore-Tex jacket cannot handle constant rain for a long period of time. The only sure way that you will not get rain on you is by getting a non-breathable rain jacket. There's just kind of one big downside, which is that sweat will not be able to get out now. So if you're working up a sweat and going uphill, you're gonna be pretty damp on the inside. If it's cold and it's rainy, then I pair these 2 layers up together and I will minimize any strenuous activity. Making sure that I'm not sweating is super important whenever it's cold outside. And then I have these dance pants. These are basically what dancers use to warm up in, but backpackers have found that they make for really good wind pants. These are extremely lightweight, they're made of nylon, so a lot of backpackers will use these because they weigh like 4 ounces and they only cost $20. A lot of people have claimed that they're also really good in the rain. So as long as it's not pouring on rain, I think I'm going to be fine with these semi-waterproof dance pants / rain pants / wind pants. And lastly, we have the Patagonia Houdini. This is a wind jacket. It is water resistant. The reason I take this is because it's 3 ounces, it weighs nothing, and because I have a non-breathable rain jacket, this fills in the gap. If it's windy, if it's a little rainy, I will always use the Patagonia Houdini before the Ultralight Gear rain jacket. I love the 2 paired together. So you may be wondering, how do I wash all my clothes? Whenever I get into a town, sometimes the hostel will have what's known as loaner clothes. So I'll put on those clothes that are nice and clean, and then I'll just do all my washing like normal. Other times I will go to a laundromat and I will put on my rain pants and my rain jacket. I'll wear those while I'm washing all of my other clothes, and since it's only an hour, it's not really a big deal. Alright, this is my cook kit, and I store it in a really weird way, but I'll get to that in a sec. So inside of my pot, I have my stove, my lighter, and my spoon. I also have half of a handkerchief. This, I find, is a good size for me to store inside the pot and still be able to clean things with it. So you may be wondering why I don't carry a gas canister. That's because whenever I get to a town, usually there's going to be a hiker box. A hiker box is just where backpackers will store items that they're not going to use so that other hikers may use them. One of the most common items is half-used gas canisters, and that's where I come in. Those are my favorite. So I'll pick up the ones that have maybe 3 to 4 boils left in them. And that way I will carry a lightweight gas system, not having to carry any extra weight. I'll have a few luxury meals that are nice and warm, and then I'll just carry the empty gas canister into town for the next time. Most of the time I'll sadly put couscous in there and then cold soak it. I've put like chili beans and other things in there too, rice and beans, mashed potatoes, all the classics. But my go-to has been couscous, and I got really tired of it last time. So we'll see what happens this time.
I don't want couscous anymore, and there's so much left. I just did the resupply, and there's so much couscous.
Next is my miscellaneous bag, or my ditty bag. Ooh. I've divided it up into kind of 2 categories in my ditty bag. This is first aid, and this over here is hygiene. So in this bag, I'll have like my typical first aid things like band-aids, wipes, a lot of medicine so that I can take ibuprofen on the trail, allergy medicine, things like that just to deal with the basics. Oh, anti-diarrhea is important. That's a good one. Then we have my tent repair kit and some patches for my air mattress. And this is a lifesaver. This is Leukotape, and you cut off about a 2-inch strip, put it on any hot spots that you're feeling on your feet, and you will rarely get blisters. Then we have some matches. These are waterproof matches. I just keep them in my ditty bag as like a backup, and I don't use them because I have a lighter. Then we have a pocket knife. This pocket knife is pretty cool because it has some scissors and it's super tiny. So like there's not a lot of these tiny pocket knives that have scissors. And I also clip my nails with these as well. The second most useful thing on this is actually tweezers. So I've used this to remove ticks. I've used this to get thorns out of my hand and things. So yeah, having tweezers is kind of essential. Not a deal breaker if you don't have tweezers though. And then yeah, of course, the pocket knife. I don't use a knife. I mean, I might use this if like a bear were to attack me and I would like get it, Then I have my hygiene stuff. So I'll start with my toothbrush and toothpaste. This is like a mechanical toothbrush head that's actually made out of bamboo. It's way lighter than I expected it to be, so that's kind of cool. And then I have these like toothpaste tablets. So this is a new addition to my backpack. I'm gonna repackage this in like a plastic baggie, but this is good for about a month. And so I'll use 3 of these over the course of my through hike. These toothpaste tablets are super lightweight and they're basically just dehydrated toothpaste. So you just put them in your mouth, maybe use a little bit of water if you want to, and kind of chew them and they turn into toothpaste. Next, we have my hair hygiene items. So I tend to get really bad dandruff in my normal everyday life. So I have tried to bring the routine that I found works best for me at home onto the trail. And that is whenever I am about to shower, I put olive oil on my hair, kind of let it seep in, break things down, and then I rinse it out at the end of the day and use Castile soap. Castile soap is really good at kind of hydrating your hair, and I found that it works the best out of a lot of different soaps that I've tried. I really like bar shampoos because I don't like liquid in my backpack because it tends to just get everywhere. Then we have a comb. This again is just to help with my dandruff and kind of keep my hair in line. And the last thing in my ditty bag I am a huge advocate for. This is a backpacking bidet. You basically put this on the top of your water bottle and then you squeeze and oh my gosh, everything is clean. So this is great because you are not supposed to bury toilet paper in the outdoors. It doesn't decompose as much as anyone would like to think. It takes 5 to 10 years in some landscapes for toilet paper to break down until it's like untraceable. So you are leaving a trace if you bury toilet paper. I do not want to pack out dry toilet paper. I think that's gross. So from the beginning, I got a bidet so that I could avoid using toilet paper altogether. Really, it's not that bad. I've been doing it for years now, and I've actually been doing this since I started backpacking, about like 5 years ago now, and it's been awesome. All right, next is the electronic stuff. So this is the first time I'm using a satellite device. So this will allow me to text my wife and let her know that everything is okay. Kind of let my mom know that I haven't died or anything. So I see this as essential. All right, and then the rest of my electronics. I put them in a Ziploc bag, and this either lives on the outside of my backpack when I'm going into town so that I have easy access to things that I need to charge, or I will put this in my dry bag. So I only need to access this at night, charge things overnight. It's worked out really great for me. So I carry 5 things in my electronics bag. I carry my battery bank, which is 20,000 milliamp hours, a dual wall charger. This is also power delivery and it's 45 watts. That means I get to charge my battery in about 3.5 hours. A USB-C to USB-C cable, a mini version so that I can charge 2 things at once. And then I have this cable, which is only for my headlamp. This is the only way I can charge it. So ideally in the future, I'd get a new headlamp and then I can drop this cable. One thing that I think people overlook is the amount of time that it takes to charge their battery. So when you get into town, the last thing you want to do is wait for like 24 hours for your battery to become full so you can head out again. You want to get in town, get all your stuff done, and head out again, or at least get the option to do that. You know, it's really fun to go to cafes. You know, you need to do your laundry. It's great to take a zero every now and then, but a lot of times you want to get in town and you want to get out as quick as possible. So in 3.5 hours, that's about the amount of time it would take me to go to a restaurant, you know, get a drink, get a meal, charge my battery, my phone, maybe even my satellite device. And then after about 3 hours, I'm able to go out again. Another thing that really drains your efficiency is quick charging any device off of your battery. The quicker you charge something, the more energy it requires to push that load into your device. So to increase the efficiency of this battery, I've added a USB-A to USB-C adapter. This means that all my devices will slow charge over the course of the night, and in the morning I'm able to have fully charged devices and probably get about 2 extra charges with my cell phone using this method. All right, these are now some fun things that I've added to my system. First, we have my cards and some backpacking board games that I've made. So I'm a huge fan of board games, and I decided that I wanted to bring at least one on the trail with me. One of my favorite games is actually called Love Letter. It uses 16 cards, is really quick to play, really easy to understand, and it's so fun to play while you're on the trail because every round is just so quick. So within my deck of cards, I've actually written on 13 different cards so that I can play that. And then I expanded that into Werewolf and a few other games. So I now have cards and 2 other games just within this little pack. I also have a bunch of these felt tokens which I've drawn on and a felt board. With all of these, I can play backgammon, chess, and a game called Pocket Hive. I think out of all of these, Love Letter and Pocket Hive are my 2 favorites to play. Next, we have my filming setup. Cell phones are getting absolutely insane with the quality that they can film with now. So I use a cell phone clamp mounted on actually this tripod. And that just kind of rests here in my shoulder pocket. But two of the main things is I wanted to simplify this system so that I didn't have to clamp my phone and unclamp it all the time. So my phone lives in this clamp on my shoulder pocket. That's where I store it. The microphone is always plugged into my phone, so I don't have to connect that every single time. And that makes it a little annoying when I want to do navigation. So I have put a quick release on the bottom of this so I can access my phone really easily within like a second when I want to. It's just right here. I unclip it, hold it, see whatever I want, clip it back. It's actually really fun. Like, that clipping mechanism is super satisfying. In total, my camera equipment is about 5 ounces. Alright, like I promised at the beginning of the video, let's get into some of the mountaineering stuff. Before you go, this can be extremely crucial for you to be safe. You want to make sure that you know exactly what gear you will need for every single section of the PCT. You don't want to have sent your gear to Kennedy Meadows and realize you need it 200 miles in at Apache Peak. So these 4 items are the crucial pieces of gear that you will need if there is any ice on Apache Peak or in the Sierra Mountains. I bring gloves, 1, because it's nice to have them when it gets cold, but 2, because this is crucial to have with an ice axe. So you don't want your hand to be exposed to cold air and then putting your hands in your pocket. You want your hand on your ice axe at all times so that if you do slip, you're able to catch yourself as quickly as possible and not suffer any abrasion while you're sliding down the mountain. So gloves are pretty essential for this. They weigh nothing, so please, please bring them. Then I bring a beanie. I'll have this for the entire trail, but I find myself mainly using this when it gets colder, so I'll probably only use this in the Sierra Mountains. Then we have micro spikes. A lot of people will recommend crampons, but for me, I find that micro spikes and being extremely careful is a lot better for me than buying boots and bringing really intense crampons that will tear holes in my pants. So I've decided that if I do slip, I want to make sure I know how to self-arrest myself with an ice axe. So I have practiced self-arresting. I've made sure, I think the ice axe and self-arresting is my #1 way to make sure I'm being safe rather than these micro spikes. These micro spikes are there for 99% of the time, and then the 1% of time where I slip or maybe I start sliding, that's where the ice axe comes in. Once you start sliding, there's no way for you to stop. Micro spikes or crampon, you need an ice axe to stop yourself from sliding down hundreds of feet of mountain. And then we have my ice axe or my stand-in hammer. So I actually just bought my first ice axe, and it's being sent to Paradise Valley Cafe through a program called the Trevor Spikes program. The story behind this program is kind of sad, and honestly, it's the reason why I bought an ice axe in the first place. So I'm really grateful to the work that they're doing, and really grateful that I found them before I started hiking. Trevor was 200 miles into the PCT, and he was 8 miles from Ivywild, where he had sent his micro spikes. When he came across Apache Peak is notorious for being extremely steep and very slick with ice. It had snowed the night before, so the snow had covered all the ice. Trevor sadly slipped, and he slipped 600 feet down the mountain until he crashed at the bottom. And by the time rescue workers got to him, he had succumbed to his injuries. With that story being said, I think it's extremely important for you to have a way to stop yourself from sliding in the event that you start sliding down one of these dangerous mountains. All right, that's all the gear that I'm taking on this. If you want to follow along on my journey, I'll be posting weekly videos. Thanks so much. My hammer.